Hello, every folks, and good morning. Today we have another Know Your Unit profile on the Juggernaut. So this is a unit best described as completely in your face, in their face, in everyone's face, all the time. What do you mean they're turning down 48th Street? They're already here. This is one of the more fun units to play around with. Basically, their whole shtick is they are everywhere all at once, and they are really dang good at doing that. As far as weapon access goes, they're pretty darn wide. In fact, they're one of the weirdest cases of being one of the premier shortbow skirmisher type of units, despite the fact that, they're primarily a melee class. Why exactly is that? Well, as we see over here, they actually have a built-in counterattack because they still partially count as a monster unit, which means that just like a golem or other monster unit, they have a haymaker built in, meaning that they have the functional equivalent of fist fight from Knight of Lotus when using a shortbow. Even, as you see at the top there, they have a counterattack right here. They have a built-in counter 3, despite the fact that this bow has no counter on it. So yeah, this is pretty darn fun to play around with. With their 6 movement, they end up being pretty much friggin' everywhere. In fact, they're one of the few cases of a class that actually can make superb use of something like a siege, because they're only going down to 5 movement. They can still be absolutely everywhere, and they can just punch straight through any rampart ores they run into. As far as weapon access goes, they have fists if you'd like to have those big punchy explosions, swords if you like those breaches, and if you like the stun effect on something like a Damask or what have you, which granted, everybody gets a stun effect. That's usually why I don't bring it up, but they've got great finishers. Cyclone Saber allows them to have even more insane reach. Something like axes, again, just great finishers from ice to earth and all of that. Spears, it's hard to go wrong with how much reach they get with spears. In fact, they are fantastic when it comes to pikes, giving them in total 9 tiles of reach to hit whatever the hell they feel like. Hammers for the usual hammer type of stuff. Blowguns, again, very interesting situation where you have, for example, a blowgun user going and just kind of using something like Siege and their high movement to just suddenly appear way the hell off on the flanks, making use of something like, a Petri dart with its strength and vitality bonuses or what have you, disabling somebody from the other dang side of the map, and maybe throwing in a dragon scale here for good measure, just giving them pretty decent resistances against everything, just showing up, disabling stuff, disappearing as fast as they came. Oh, is somebody going to try to catch up and stop them? I'm sorry, they're friggin' running around at the speed of a sports car despite having heavy armor. They just don't care. Okay, let's talk about their other skills here. Constitution ends up carrying especially far for them, throwing them into the 1600s for Palace of the Dead here, going up even higher in other areas. Something like Insight actually works pretty darn well for, where do I have that guy? For something like this here, where you've got a finisher spammer that's coming in with something like a glass pumpkin. Throw a MP recharge on there, throw an Insight on there, suddenly they are running around with pretty much permanent finisher spam throughout the entire time, making use of that gigantic movement to constantly punish all kinds of different elements and what have you. Now, unlike something like the Warrior, they aren't going to have access to as many one-handed weapons, but again, this can be especially potent in the hands of, something like a shortbow user, which you might be thinking, wait a minute, they're not going to hit particularly hard, they don't have any kind of crazy dexterity or what have you. Doesn't matter, that strength that they carry with them is by far their highest stat, and, well, pretty much matched with vitality in this case, and they're still going to be doing pretty solid punches regardless. Bear in mind that shields are, well, still going to hit like a truck. Their fists actually hit pretty decently once you get some fizz-up cards, too. I've seen this guy actually punching for 300s and going through Palace of the Dead before. They are, again, just a weird and wacky unit that loves to be an absolute unit. Again, shield bashes do hit really darn well in their hands. A shortbow, absolutely not a terrible decision in their hands. Again, remember, finishers, functionally speaking, as I understand it, double up on your stats, as well as giving you that maximum potential bonus for your finisher element. So, you have that as well. Either way, Zombie Juggernaut with shortbow has been super reliable up to this point. In fact, there's actually one really wild build that you typically don't see much outside of challenge runs, but might be potentially very useful, because, crit builds are all well and fun. So, for example, if you were to go and, go pick up something like a Band of Fortune, go get that 20 luck on there, maybe throw on some high boots and stuff like that for another 15 luck, Then you may have potentially missed that there's a 15 luck bonus available on the stun dart as well, which will carry over to the Balder bow that you can have in an offhand, essentially allowing you for a, well, more or less a crit build without a crit card before you ever get there. Potentially throw in some alluring once you end up picking some of that stuff up. Yeah, you can see some pretty wacky numbers flying out of this guy without any additional modifiers. In fact, I don't actually have it to show on this particular one, but actually Juggernauts are one of the best cases for two-handed relics later on down the road. Once you end up getting to those cases where you're running around with like fire axes or light hammers or what have you, essentially able to deliver those big punishes on elemental hits wherever the hell you need them. This guy's lightning, he's going to go find his water target somewhere on the map with that giant movement. He ends up getting himself like a water hammer or something along them lines. Yeah, he'll go ahead and find himself that target. They are fantastic for this kind of stuff, and if you're looking for other elemental options in terms of coverage and what have you, you still also have other kind of fun ideas here, like putting an iron fan and a bow together, again for those wide axis type of finishers. Or you have, for example, blowgun and hammer isn't exactly a terrible build in their hands either. Again, they're going to make just about anything hit like a truck if they find their openings, and if you were to put an iron fan on here, you again have that stun option, you still have your parry option, you still have your debuff options. Like, they are functionally speaking a ninja in a sports car. It is wonderful what you can do with these guys. You know, funnily enough, I was going through and editing this, and I noticed I kind of forgot two very important things. For one thing, if you ever want to see a completely hilarious build, zombie jugger, you take your flaming blast, you go ahead and turn off all of the rest of these, and then you just go ahead and set them to AI and give them a glass pumpkin or something. All of a sudden, you basically have just a mind control drone. It's wonderful. It's basically the charm bow without actually needing a charm bow, and in no way will this be abused for the AI run. Anyway, I actually totally forgot to even cover their skills. Turns out those might be a little bit important. Steadfast is kind of a given. You can get Dragon Slayer through the Dragon Slayer set, and additionally, you have, I believe they have access to Dark Deeds later down the road as well. You have Threaten, which is functionally this game's equivalent of Brimstone for all intents and purposes, silencing and reducing MP. You've got Check for inflicting Stop. This goes up to, I believe, 80% by the end of it. Intimidate, which is going to remove a readied skill, so if you ever have issues with the last boss, you happen to have a lizard in your party, go ahead and switch one of them to a Juggernaut, put on Intimidate, send them forward, use Paradigm Shift or something like that on them, and there you go, suddenly that ability's gone. You don't have to worry about risk management anymore. Anyway, yeah, these guys are just wonderful in terms of just all their stuff being automatic. You don't have to pay for them this time around. They're just, oh man, they are such a dang good unit. But you've got all kinds of fun options available on these guys. Just remember that they are, fast and fun and what have you. Anyway, that's about that. Y'all have yourselves a good one and take care.